Welcome back. So I'm going to say right at the start of this, Mark Giordano's been traded to Toronto, but the details are not known yet. So there will be a separate video on Mark Giordano joining the Toronto Maple Leafs once the details have come out. Again, at the time I'm recording this, they are yet to be received, and it's in between the second and third period between the Islanders and Philly. And that game, all they're talking about is the trade deadline. Because I wouldn't be surprised if there's players on the bench talking about the trade deadline. Because it started. So I'm going to start at the bottom. Travis Hamonic has been traded to the Ottawa Senators. The Canucks get back their own third-round pick that Ottawa had for this year. And they don't retain any salary. There are Canuck fans right now chuckling with this. He has another year left on his contract at a $3 million cap hit. Now, there's a tie-in. Jack Capuano, being employed by Ottawa, knows Hamonic, and they may have something in mind here. But I'm personally glad to see the Hamonic soap opera in Vancouver done. I think it's going to be good for him. I think it'll be good for the team. It is a sign that things are changing up, and it's $3 million in cap space. It is. I honestly, this to me is what the Canucks should have been doing for years. You trade out an asset, you get back a draft pick. You trade out a player who's making a lot of money. You get yourself cap space. And you get back a draft pick. I can barely speak. I'm perplexed at what I'm seeing here. The Canucks getting draft picks. It is a different age. But yeah, so this trade is pretty universally loved amongst Canuck fans. But again, Hamonic, I think, can be a decent top six. In a pinch, he can be a top four. I would think third pairing's your best option for him. But in Ottawa, he may get top 4 minutes. And he may experience a pretty good boost after going to Ottawa. Think like Adam Gaudette coming over from Chicago. He may just feel like, the weight of the world's come off of him, and he might play really well in Ottawa. So, all the best to Hamonic. And, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. But Toronto's decided to create chaos today. They've signed Harry Sateri. I apologize if I'm pronouncing that wrong, but Sateri, who was playing in the KHL, played in the Olympics as well. And so he's got a good resume. He's 32 years of age. They signed him for a league minimum for the remainder of the season. They waived Peter Mrazek not that long after saying their goaltending was fine. That's usually the kiss of death, right? Oh, we really believe in our coach. 2 weeks later, and you're out of here. Oh, our goaltending, we don't have a problem, and trades happen. So, if they've signed Sateri with the idea of bringing him in, that tells me that there won't be a Marc-Andre Fleury edition for Toronto. Because that was one of those things that people were floating out there as maybe being a positive. Well, maybe, right? This time of year, all these crazy things get thrown out there, and players are going to get tied to Toronto. They're going to get tied to Montreal. They're going to get tied to Vancouver. They're going to get tied to some of the original 6 too, because, again, that's what gets people's eyeballs on whether it's a video, whether it's an article or blog, whatever it is, right? So, yeah, this to me says that they're looking to make some moves. They've also waived Kyle Clifford. And so, yeah, acquiring Giordano is one thing, but it does sound like there's probably going to be more out of Toronto by the deadline. There's also rumblings that Boston may be looking at picking up a forward, that they're not done yet. And so we'll see whether that's a top 6, whether it's a top 9. I mentioned in the video this morning about how Krejci's not coming back to play for Boston, so that may have played a role in what Sweeney's going to do between now and tomorrow at noon hour. Also on the waiver wire today, Brad Richardson for Calgary. I wouldn't mind seeing Vancouver pick him up. I only say that because, it's the trade deadline. They're a team that's probably not going to make the playoffs anyways. So if you pick him up, you can trade somebody else out. There are definitely some options for Vancouver there. I've always been a Richardson fan, so take it with a grain of salt. Riley Nash waived by the Arizona Coyotes, which means they likely looked at the trade market to see if there was any interest, and there really wasn't much there. Kyle Turris waived yet again for the Oilers, who are apparently looking to add a defenseman before tomorrow's deadline. With Giordano off the market, with Lindholm off the market, Haig being traded, there are a lot of defensemen getting moved right now. And so Edmonton might want to jump on that sooner rather than later. Also, I got it up on the board, but I forgot to write this down. See, I managed to move over the Vegas logo, but there's just, I keep waiting. I keep refreshing Twitter. I'm like, when are they going to tell us the details? Derek Pouliot waived by Vegas. He'll clear. He'd been playing in Henderson before they signed him. Again, it was a 2-way contract, and it was more of an emergency situation than anything else. So he's been waived by Vegas. I'd be very surprised if he got claimed because, again, he was already playing in Henderson before they signed him. On the Buffalo side, it has been confirmed that it is a 2022 sixth-round pick they picked up from Florida for Robert Haig. So, again, picking up extra draft picks is nice to see. The Anaheim Ducks have claimed Mayhew from Philadelphia. So he was waived yesterday. The other waiver wire players cleared from yesterday. So it is going to be a crazy next... Well, we're down to a little less than 24 hours. Of course, the live stream will be tomorrow. I'm planning on starting it, I believe 10 a.m. is the start time that I've got on it on the channel here. We'll probably run till about a half an hour after the deadline, because there's always trades that come out after the deadline. GMs usually get backed up on the phones, and as long as they're in the queue, those trades do go through. As long as you call in before noon hour, the trade is fine. So we always see that at noon hour we'll hear, oh man, that was a dead trade deadline. And then all of a sudden, a bunch of trades come out. I mean, we could assume that, I don't know, maybe Bettman talks to his mother, for like an hour. And all the calls are backing up. And he's like, oh, sorry, Mom, I got to go. It's 12 o'clock because he's in Pacific time. And I got to go. I got like 40 calls waiting. And it's 32 GMs, 8 of which called in twice. So, yeah, it's going to be a busy next 24 hours. I wouldn't be surprised if everybody that's waived today ends up clearing tomorrow. I'd kind of be surprised if any of them get picked up. But there might be a team at the deadline that looks at a Richardson, Nash, or a Turris and says it's a better fourth line option than what we've seen out there for trade. So it's going to be an interesting time. Let me know your thoughts regarding the Hamonic deal. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And again, as soon as I've got the details on what they're getting back, and apparently it's draft picks for Giordano, we can have that discussion. I can take a look at what that makes Toronto's blue line probably look like. But that'll be kind of fun to look at, and it'll be a little bit later. So let me know your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I'll talk to you again soon.